Rappers and Rabbis virtual Passover Seder. I'm so blessed to be here. I go by Digital Crates. I'm representing for the God Squad here for the Rappers and Rabbis crew. Maybe we can just quickly go around, everybody introduce themselves. Again, I go by Digital Crates. I will be the co-host for tonight, along with some very special guests as we play y'all some of the new prayers we've been working on, as well as some of the prayers that we already have online. You can follow us at rappersandRabbis.com or hit us up on social media on all platforms at Rappers and Rabbis. Let me pass it over to the co-host with the most for the evening. We got Maddie Bars in the building. How you doing tonight, Mr. Bible Raps?
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. This is my third Seder, and each one's been great. I'm expecting this one to be the proper conclusion to a great few days of hanging out, asking questions, talking about freedom, drinking wine, dropping bars, and I'm looking forward to do the same with you guys tonight.
All right, so we're going to slide over to our other special guest co-host for the evening. We have Mr. E in the building. How you doing tonight, my guy?
Peace, peace. Happy Passover. Chag Sameach. Just enjoying the day. Had a beautiful Seder, internal rhyme that looks delicious in back of you. So just enjoying the festivities of the day. Yeah. And I ain't got too much to say. Just glad to be here. Grateful.
Yeah, big up to Mr. E, who was the host of our recent Rappers and Rabbis retreat, sponsored by Federation and Moishe House. We worked on some incredible new music that you will be hearing tonight, and we actually have a special treat at the end of tonight's service that's also hosted by Mr. E. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you for taking the time to help us to put together that amazing, amazing retreat. We have another mini retreat coming up in a couple of weeks. We're going to finish cooking up our second album. But if you want to hear some of the music we have featuring our other special guests for the evening, Internal Rhyme, make sure to check us out on all streaming platforms, Apple Music, Tidal, Spotify, YouTube, whatever you got that you listen to music on, you can look us up, Rappers and Rabbis. Our first album is online, second album on the way. So we got Eternal Rhyme live with us all the way from Los Angeles, California on the West Coast. How you doing tonight, my guy?
Hey, what is good, Crates, and everybody in the crew and everybody watching? My name is Internal Rhyme. I'm a hip-hop artist, currently live from Los Angeles. Tonight, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling sweet, and that's why I got the Haroset behind me.
Yes.
So because I'm in LA and because I didn't have a Seder on the first night, this is actually my first Seder of the holiday, so I'm excited. Then, we're cooking up for the second Seder after. So it's a good night. I'm glad to be here, and I'm happy to show y'all some of the new Pesach-themed music that we got in store.
I'm really excited, and before we get started, we have one more special guest, one of the newest members of the Rappers and Rabbis Fellowship, a.k.a. the God Squad. We got Mr. Brett D live. How you doing, man?
Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Brett D here. Just happy to be here. This will be my second Seder tonight. Had one last night, just like Mr. E said, just enjoying the festivities. Coming live tonight from Edison, New Jersey. And can't wait for the sesh. Let's dive in.
Yeah, so we're going to dive right into the story of Passover. It is a classic tale of strength and power of the Jewish people who have been so resilient in surviving so much persecution over the years. We have with us Matty Bars, Mr. Bible Raps, who is kind of jump into the story of Exodus as we debut the Pharaoh's Clapback. But before we get into the music, maybe, Matt, you want to talk about the creation of this song and this amazing video that you've put together for us tonight.
Sure. To start this off, we formulate the tension in the narrative of Exodus as a battle rap between first Pharaoh and Moses, because Moses gets the call to go say, "Let my people go," and then Pharaoh, basically in a chapter, completely makes Moses think that he's the wrong guy. So kind of like makes him lose any trust and faith in himself. So he wins that battle. But then Pharaoh has to battle rap God, and God has, his words are the plagues, which are some of the illest bars to be dropped. And so that's kind of how I traced this song, to get it kind of tell where we are in the story, but also get the sense of different hip hop concepts that we can kind of see within the Exodus narrative and make it more relatable to us. So it's Pharaoh's clap back, because this is kind of what he says back to Moses when Moses is like, "Let my people go," and Pharaoh's like "Who are you? What are you talking about?"
All right, without further ado, here's the Pharaoh's clapback.
Heeding the call of the burning bush, Moses and Aaron steppeth to Pharaoh.
I shall speak, I shall listen, and he hand me a vision. Got that fire from Sinai, and I'm going Godzilla.
To which Pharaoh responded,
Moses and Aaron, who you think you're scaring? I created the Nile, so it should be apparent. I'm a crocodile, and God is a sparrow. Thus said Hashem, no, thus said Pharaoh. You can open my slave's eyes, I'll keep them narrow. I'ma make them gather straw, and Moses, you'll be the scarecrow. I own the world, no, in case you've not heard. So who is your God, and tell me who is he conquered? You know I'm a
monster. You get in my way, I'ma feed you to the monster. I'm normal during the day, but at night turn to a monster. When the moon shines like ice road trucker, I look like a villain out of those blockbusters.
Listen to me now, Moses, cause I know that you know my name. To the east, to the west, yes, everybody knows my name. You know my name. You know my name.
Monster, you get in my way, I'ma feed you to the monster. I'm normal during the day, but at night turn to a monster. When the moon shines like ice road trucker, I look like a villain out of those blockbusters.
Listen to me now, Moses, cause I know that you know my name. To the east, to the west, yes, everybody knows my name. Listen to me now, Moses, cause I know that you know my name. And I created the Nile. Why did God would nowhere, and I don't even know his name. I know you know my name. You know my name. You know my name. Listen to me now, Moses, cause I know that you know my name. To the east, to the west, yes, everybody knows my name.
That is such a jam. Matt, really quick, maybe you could just talk about some of the inspiration behind the making of that song. It's pretty incredible.
Well, thank you. Actually, I was taught a shiur, a lesson, by a rabbi that teaches at Pardes Institute of Jewish Studies in Jerusalem. And basically, he looked at Exodus chapter 5, and that's when this new Pharaoh arises and starts getting paranoid. And you know, within like 12, 16 sentences, it went from Israelites living, you know, nice amongst the Egyptians, to like them losing their rights, to being enslaved, and kind of he taught, you know, made each one of the lines that led to this process of going from complete freedom to complete slavery, and kind of showed how that process was a gradual process and something that actually, you know, like the process of how the rights were taken away in Nazi Germany was just kind of like little by little, to where you didn't really notice, but next thing you know, you're really like third class citizens all of a sudden. And doing, you know, like Pharaoh was doing things like trying to, he doubled up the work that the Israelites had to do because of Moses. And then he's like, well, Moses is coming around saying these things. So now you're extra punished. And so that's when even the Israelites who were enslaved were like, Moses, leave us alone, And so it's like, I'm gonna make them gather straw, and Moses, you'll be their scarecrow. Like, they're gonna kind of tear you apart out of disunity. And even just names, my name is a big thing in all these in stories, what the name is. And if you look at Moses and Ramses, it's really Ra Moses. Ra Moses is Ramses, and Moses is just Mrs. Without the R, and Ra is evil, right? So you can even see there this kind of seemingly contrast between Moses, like the evil Moses and the Moses, Yeah, and because when Moses comes there, Pharaoh's just like, what are you talking about? Like, I know you were my brother, you grew up with me, but I have no reason why I should be doing this. And so that's why the 10 plagues had to be kind of the next move, because Moses going there and say, let my people go, didn't work. And so they had to up the ante. So that's what that's about. And then the one about the 10 plagues is actually one that we studied at our retreat, and we have a great song for. And it's called Drip Drip. And so first I want to thank the Jewish Federation of Metro West New Jersey and for supporting our fellows from Jersey and our retreat that we had a couple of weeks ago, as well as the Philadelphia Cultural Fund that gives us these two hubs, one in Philadelphia with our studio there and our open mic at Dalek Restaurant, Ethiopian restaurant, and then our other hub in Jersey, Newark, with the studio there and open mics through Mr. E. And so that's kind of like our model, like instead of a Moishe House model where there's Jewish community being created at apartments as kind of like a group who's living together, we're kind of trying to have the music studio be kind of the catalyst for Jewish community. So we get a couple people who are committed to creating Jewish community who also have a music studio and like a venue to play. It really seems to be a way to get a lot of people who are interested in Judaism and or hip hop together, which always makes for an excellent time. And so when we got together, we actually studied how when you are doing the Seder and you talk about the 10 plays, you do one rituals where you take 10 drips of wine out of your wine cup, and you say each plague as you do it. And that's the kind of, even though the wine is sweet, we want to take a little bit of the enjoyment out to remember that the Egyptians, although our enemies, were still suffering for each of those plagues. And so it kind of starts this discussion about how to have compassion for your enemies. And we looked at some poems that talked about how even though I'm here trying to kill you, I know we're in another day, we'd be buying each other a beer, or freestyling together. We looked at the war in Ukraine and how even, Ukrainians is kind of the heroic people, but you can also feel empathy and compassion for some of these Russian soldiers who get told they're going to do a military exercise. And next thing you know, they're in another country and told to shoot people, who are like very well might be related to them or know some of their people. So it was a good time at the retreat that we got pretty deep about this idea of how to have compassion for your enemies on earth and kind of being stuck in the wrong time and place to be star-crossed enemies, even though you'd probably get on just fine if you weren't in this war situation. And from that, we picked a beat, and then Mr. E made this mammoth hook, and a couple of the other fellows then finished the rest of the song. And so we made it. This song is called Drip Drip.
Matt, we lost your audio. I don't know if you can hear me. We lost your audio really quick, but I'm just going to jump in because that was definitely like a lot to chew on right there. And I want to kind of like double back on a few points before we get to the song. First of all, this Passover story, I think the reason why it's lasted so many years and is still so integral to the yearly calendar of Judaism is that it's not really just so much a story about the Jews in Egypt as it is essentially a human rights story. It's a story of trial and tribulation and, understanding each other, even like you said, in times of misunderstanding. And it's interesting some of the things you brought up, especially in that first video where you kind of basically are seeing a rap battle. It's kind of interesting in hip hop, which is one thing we always talk about, is how hip hop is a community. There's no doubt about it. It's a culture that as well was bred out of the struggle, but yet that we still have these battles for supremacy, even though in hip hop they're mainly friendly. It's just incredible that after all these years of misunderstanding, that there's still these battles. And we got Mr. E on the line. I don't know if you want to maybe jump in really quick. I don't want to interrupt your bust down there, but maybe you could talk about really quick what you specifically learned from the teachings in the retreat that led to you coming up with this hook.
Yeah. Great question. So
you don't have any audio either, E.
I can hear him.
No.
I can hear.
Yeah, I can hear.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I was hearing Matt earlier as well. But hopefully Crates can hear me now. But the rest of you, thumbs up. You're hearing me? Okay, great. So as Matt was discussing earlier, I mean, him and Rabbi Adam, really kind of laid the theme there and told the story about the two opposing sides. And from what I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, we were learning about the story of the Exodus after Moses had led his people through the Red Sea, in which the two, sides of the ocean were halted upright when the miracle took place. And then once the Jews escaped, the waters, the walls of the waters came back and they washed away the Egyptians who were trailing them. And in that moment, the Jews, they celebrated because the Egyptians got washed up by the sea. But Moses told his people, he told the Jews not to celebrate because they're still people, that they're still God's children. And there was that lesson that we all had learned there, to even as difficult as it is to somehow try to show compassion to our enemy, even in times of war. So it was some heavy stuff there. And, then we kind of brought it up to present times, in which, again, we were talking about the Russia and Ukraine situation. And it's really difficult, honestly, to show compassion for your enemy. And sometimes when there's so much on the line and it even feels personal. But nonetheless, I think it was an amazing writing prompt. And just from discussing these stories, it really got the creative juices flowing. And it really, from a lyrical standpoint, got us tapped in with trying to really think about compassion and empathy to the utmost degree, on the highest scale. And, that's what inspired the hook and some of the amazing verses as well. You're going to hear Internal Rhyme on there, and Jaron and Revere. So it was a great prompt, great theme. And us MCs and rappers, you get us all together in a room, or, in this case, in a Poconos mansion, you give us some time, you give us a Digital Crates beat, let us cook up, and we'll cook up some fire. So that was the result.
Yeah, and that beat too was cooked up on the spot, inspired by a klezmer style melody that I had in my head, and I wanted to kind of portray what we were talking about, kind of like a Clash of the Titans, if you will, but in a hip hop traditional way that was inspired by the history of the perseverance of the Jews. So let's get into it. We got this amazing video right here. And after the video, we'll kind of go back to Matt, and maybe you can break down a little bit more of the biblical portion of what we're about to play. But this is kind of, a 10-plague anthem right here. Rappers and Rabbis, drip, drip.
Why am I not catching it? Hold up. Drip, drip. Both sides be blood, drip, drip, even our enemy needs love, drip, drip. Rest in peace to the death of all my haters, drip, drip. Pour some wines, dip, dip, dip it at the Seder, drip, drip, both sides bleed blood, drip, drip, Even our enemy needs love. Drip, drip, rest in peace to the death upon my haters. Drip, drip, pour some wine. Dip, dip, dip it at the Seder. Drip, drip.
Yes, there's a thin line between friends and enemies, like life and death. So when I die, remember me. A soldier only dies once, but could live twice. His memories reverberate and could give life. Just like a drip in a pot of water, reverberate. That's exactly how our stories ought to speak through our sons and daughters and make our souls immortal. So please remember those who go before you through the portal. We're all connected.
I don't understand the grip it get, so I just might go and just sit with it, We're too caught up with that drip, 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 to see the other side oblivious, Drip, drip, both sides bleed blood, drip, drip, even our enemy needs love. Drip, drip, rest in peace to the death upon my haters. Drip, drip, pour some wines. Dip, dip, dip it at the Seder. Drip, drip, both sides bleed blood. Drip, drip, even our enemy needs love. Drip, drip, rest in peace to the death upon my haters. Drip, drip, pour some wine. Dip, dip, dip it at the Seder. Maybe if history had played out differently, then we would clink glasses past the cigars. Maybe in better conditions instead of the dissing, we be on a track sharing bars. When a killer dies, do you cry? When the guilt produce suicide? You got a mother, child, but who am I? Is it deeper than our two sides? Conflict considerations, power suppliers, obliterations. Who worth the risk of saving? Is this a hell? Should we listen to Satan? I'm on two knees and look to the sky. They pass like two breeze, I'm wishing they die. Is it revenge or avenging? I cannot pretend that my heart don't feel compromised. I don't understand the grip it get, so I just might go and just sit with it, We're too caught up with that drip, 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 to see the other side oblivious, Drip, drip, both sides bleed blood. Drip, drip, even our enemy needs love. Drip, drip, rest in peace to the death upon my haters. Drip, drip, pour some wines. Dip, dip, dip it at the Seder. Drip, drip, both sides bleed blood. Drip, drip, even our enemy needs love. Drip, drip, rest in peace to the death upon my haters. Drip, drip, pour some wine. Dip, dip, dip it at the Seder. Drip, drip, both sides bleed blood. Drip, drip, even our enemy needs love. Drip, drip, rest in peace to the death upon my haters. Drip, drip, pour some wine. Dip, dip, dip it at the Seder. Drip, drip.
Oh, we even got the pup dancing.
Hey.
Drip, drip, drip. So yeah, Matt, really quick, I don't know if you want to jump in and maybe just kind of enlighten us a little bit more about, like you said, even as the 10 plagues was like the second step after Moses declared to let the people go. What kind of happened next in the story? What was like really, what did the 10 plagues lead to, and where does that take us in this service?
Right. So the 10 plagues basically convinced Pharaoh to let the Israelites go. But even after they left, it says that the Israelites ended up going south and going basically the wrong way. And there's a midrash that Pharaoh's like, look at these idiots. Like there's no way that we need to let these guys, be liberated. They're idiots. So then he went and tried to get them again. And that's when Moses put his staff out and crossed the Red Sea because they thought they were trapped. So then now they do 40 years of wandering through the desert, and where they were servants, they were slaves. Now they're going through this process of having to figure out what it is to be free, how to act and move when you're free. And you see the difficulties which a lot of people coming out of slavery have in adjusting to kind of being your own, having your own boss, kind of having your own identity that you're developing on your own. And so for 40 years, they're traveling through the wilderness, and then they make it to Sinai, and that's where the Jewish people are given the Torah, the commandments, and that's when kind of like the Israelites are given Judaism, basically. And now, instead of Pharaoh being the kind of external authority, 40 years later, they have a new authority, a new group of laws that they follow, and that's Hashem and you know, the five books of Moses and the laws that come out of that. So this is the origin story of the Jewish people, and not many origin stories of a people trace their lineage back to slaves with pride. You know, this is kind of a unique thing amongst civilizations. When they speak of their origin stories, you know, usually descended from gods or aristocrats or warriors, or, you know, versus you know, kind of stiff-necked slaves. But nevertheless, you say that when praying 36 times, it says in the Torah 36 times, treat the stranger with compassion because you were once a stranger in Egypt. So this is like a fundamental thing in Passover. Jews remind themselves, no matter how good or bad we have it, and a lot of us have it relatively very good compared to kind of a lot of our history, take a moment and remember, try to experience being enslaved and reappreciate your liberation and being able to be free, and also kind of help exercise that empathetic muscle for those who aren't free now, is the purpose of these rituals of Passover and talking about slavery and liberation. And
yeah, this next video and song we have coming up really speaks to a lot of those matters. This Passover rap featuring members of our fellowship, including Coach Adils, who is going to be starring on this next season of MTV's Wild and Out. It's kind of amazing.
I don't want to, the fellowship doesn't want to take complete credit for that. But Dills being on Nick Cannon's Wild and Out, you know, we'll take maybe some credit, maybe somewhere between 40 and 60%. I think Nick Cannon was like, "Oh, you part of that? Okay, that was a good thing in the resume." No, props to Dills.
The point that I'm trying to make is, you know, for us to come from slavery into quote unquote being stars in the hip hop world, you know, after all these years is pretty amazing, and a testament to how incredible and how embracing the hip hop community is to people of all races and ethnicities and genders. It's really such an open and inviting format. So before I play this next song, I definitely want to invite everyone that's tuned in and who will be tuning in to visit our website, rappersandrabbis.com. And it's not too late. You know, if you're interested in joining our fellowship and you want to kind of celebrate your love for hip hop and Judaism and how those worlds intersect, send us a message, hit us up. We're definitely looking to involve more creatives, not just rappers, you know, graphic designers, photographers, videographers, songwriters, singers, you know, anything that you can do to use your God-given talents to show your love for hip hop and Judaism. We would love to have you be a part of this fellowship. So definitely hit us up up directly at Rappers and Rabbis on all social media. This video I'm about to play is from last year's Passover. And what's so, you know, like I said, this Passover story is so important that we retell it every year, year after year. And I can definitely pledge, as a member of this fellowship of rappers and rabbis and creatives, that we will continue to tell this tale in creative new ways. And one of the ways that we do it is by making music videos. You know, we're music people at heart, and this video really is a solid representation of our community. So I definitely want to play this Passover rap for y'all. Make sure to go to our YouTube page. If you like what you're hearing, like what you're seeing, go subscribe to us on YouTube and check out a lot more of our music and visuals, with a lot more on the way this year, I promise.
Every generation must look upon themselves as if they left Egypt with everybody else. Every Every generation must look upon themselves as if they left Egypt with everybody else. Tell me, where were you when there arose a new pharaoh, limiting our rights? Were you really scared, yo?
To keep it really real, yeah, I was pretty frightened. Wasn't fan of Pharaoh, no, he wasn't to my liking. Stripped us of our freedom, did the opposite of right thing. Jews were going under, first the thunder, then the lightning. Times were getting tough, I was feeling for my people. Suffering and slaving, labor turned lethal. Back to answer question, yes, I was kinda scared, yo. But I held it down, stood my ground like a scarecrow. Had the heart and courage, but I had to use my brain though. So I prayed to Hashem, Red Sea, open the lane, go.
Tell me how it felt when Pharaoh enslaved the Hebrews. Whips at our back till our souls began to bleed too. Go.
Always tired and dealing with the master. Kinda hard to live life these days as a rapper. This is my exposure. Hard to separate the kids, educate the feet, hit the sand, move it with the hips. Running from the government, no time for hustling. The Pharaoh want me dead, he thinks my people will outnumber his. I haven't started struggling, already been a slave. Can't see the future, next stage, each lash equal 10 plagues. Put some blood in the river with a couple bars. Can you afford these? Don't want the story to get spoiled, a slave by distraction. They don't want to see uprise. 10 plagues later, watch what happened to those guys.
Every generation must look upon themselves as if they left Egypt with everybody else. Every generation must look upon themselves as if they left Egypt with everybody else. Yo. Tell me what you did when they were killing our firstborn. Babies dying, mamas crying, how'd you weather that storm?
We prayed for deliverance, asking for an end to this, searching for a purpose, knowing that we weren't meant for this. Singing every single note, casting every single vote, striking every single code. Pray with every bit of hope, protect the child as we were told us. In prophecy we behold it, become our liberation, exodus, movement with Moses. As our legacy teaches, leaving the Pharaoh speechless. God of Israel, release us. Letting Shalom be our teacher. Letting Shalom be our teacher.
Tell me what you saw when all the plagues came from God. Frogs and the locusts, man, didn't it look odd?
Red suds from the red blood of the Nile. People still going to the beach in straight denial. All the while, check the smiles. The wicked slave masters flip around into frowns with each coming disaster. I saw brown red blood filling up the well. Egyptians bout to live a living hell. Frogs and lice and locusts hopping. And baby, it ain't stopping. Got those balls popping. Hail with fire is raining on the windows. Darkness creeping. It ain't like the real blow. Death of the firstborn. Hebrews got protection. Lamb's blood on the door. Death angel takes direction.
Every generation must look upon themselves as if they left Egypt with everybody else. Every generation must look upon themselves as if they left Egypt with everybody else.
Every generation, and this is definitely a tale, a generational tale, like I mentioned a few times, that we're still telling year after year after year after year. And the way we do it, incorporating hip hop and rap music, is definitely something fresh on the scene. It's really, really, really something special. This Passover story is really interesting. I'll quote Kosher Dills, who was featured on that song, to bring up my next point. He has a quote. He says, "We're outside till we're inside." So think about those 40 years of wandering in the desert, being outside. And now, here we are many generations later. We're inside. We're in the synagogues. We're in our homes. And we are together. And we are telling this incredible Passover story of resilience and dedication. Really, it's a dedication to one's faith more than anything. And it's really proof that if you believe in yourself and if you unify as a people, you can make great things happen every generation after generation. We're going into our fourth song of the night. So obviously it's Passover. So what do you think the fourth song is going to be? Ding, ding, ding.
Four questions.
Yeah, we're about to get into it. So I want to kind of pass the rock back to Matt. And maybe you could talk about this importance of the retelling of the 4 questions year after year, and maybe you can speak on just briefly the significance of having the youngest speak the 4 questions and how that kind of all interplays to the Passover story.
Cool. So there's some great discussions in the Talmud about how the Passover Seder should be, what the get down should be. And they say everybody there, the Seder's for children, and everyone at the Seder table is a child. And it's really meant to bring out kind of like childlike play opportunities. They talk about how, like, even the first thing you do is you don't say a prayer when you go wash your hands, because every other day you did. The reason why you don't is because it's going to make the kids be like, wait, what are you doing? We always say a prayer now before we do that, just to get them to start asking questions. The idea of being free is that you can question authority. And so just being able to question is an element of freedom. And you're supposed to encourage children to ask questions the most. And if they ask a good question, even in the Talmud, it says you throw like a piece of candy at their face. And they say this, it's like a weird phrase where it's like, but they really mean like you whip it at them from across the table when they ask a good question, as a like reward and something that's a little ridiculous that'll get them laughing and kind of excited, because, it's really, Passover is all about using your imagination and kind of really play acting and it's going from enslavement to liberation to redemption. And the kids can really can really lead the way in that, imaginative process. And we all work with kids, and we know, like, when they really get into something, they're playing like a child, which is very serious. Nietzsche says, take life serious like a child at play, and so that's kind of what the Passover Seder is. You're really playing, doing all these things to play act to get a glimpse of to re-experience being enslaved and being liberated. And so having the child ask these questions just sets that kind of tone of the children are here to ask questions, to interrupt, and kind of act a fool and get excited because it's a special night where they can really go crazy and ask questions for all night. When we had our Seder last night at Rabbi Adam's, we were there till about 1:30 because we got into all these discussions about the meaning of freedom, and even the kids stayed up, and it was a real special night. So Passover is all about the children and kind of getting their getting their imagination active, and then letting them lead the way, because children's imaginations are so pure and strong that they will kind of lead the way in how you can with your mind re-experience some of these things that will help you become a more full human and have a greater sense of compassion for those who are in real life, have some elements of enslavement or oppression.
Yeah, I think there is a general theme this year of the Seders being relevant to social service, to kind of being the best person you could be in light of trying times. I've heard from a lot of people who have incorporated such discussions into their Seders this year. And I think that's something to look forward as we go through this week, is to not just ask these questions, but to kind of discuss what these questions mean and what's the meaning behind all of them. And to kind of bring some of these questions to light in the hip hop way, we recorded a song on our retreat called 4 Questions, features new members of our fellowship. And I'm really excited for people to hear this song. This is the world debut of our 4 Questions anthem. It really is an anthem. This is a strong candidate, as Matt said, for a lead single of our second album. And I'm very excited to debut it here today. Is the Rappers and Rabbis remixed version of the 4 Questions.
Ask more questions if you want to. 3, 4. Ask more questions if you want to. 3, 4. Ask more questions if you want to. 3, 4. Ask more questions if you want to. You want to. Normally, every day when I get dinner, I thank my God, and of course I think in the breadwinner. My mind is on track for more, and got to stack up on my dough. And none of my bread got any yesterday. That night is different from what was back yesterday. But either way, I need a break. And I'm loving this diet, so you know it's a piece of cake. Ask more questions if you want to. A 3, 4. Ask more questions if you want to. A 3, 4. Ask more questions if you want to. A 3, 4. Ask more questions if you want to.
All other nights we up straight, so why tonight do we recline? Relaxing with food on the plate, unwinding with 4 cups of wine. Boy, I'm feeling divine, like royalty built in a spine. Like I'm of status, like I'm the baddest, like my community one of a kind. This is our prime, optimistically seeing the future from what is behind. It ain't a crime that our positioning came up from gutters of glittery grime. This is a sign to let your anxiety quell or water the back of the line. Light as a lime, feeling how Shem and hip hop got a shout out to Nisi Mashan.
Why must we taste the bitterness so we can face the bigger bliss, bigger nace? Why do we pour these tears so we can conquer fallen fears, heal and reveal? Why do we feel the pain to regain traction, balance in the brain? Why the strain on the soul?
Ask more questions if you want to. A 3, 4. Ask more questions if you want to. A 3, 4. Ask more questions if you want to. A 3, 4. Ask more questions if you want to. You want to.
Dip once, dip twice. Got green in my mouth and it's all life. Like tears I've been crying up all night. You ask why? I dip twice. Got blood on my coat and a goat sacrifice. Drip on my doorpost, holy of hosts, right past over my house. I don't have a doubt. These questions amount to what we're talking about. Talk about giving up what you got. Yo, Sif, my bro Sif was looking too hot. Got any more plans to foil this plot? Got lamb on my lentils, my word to God.
Ask more questions if you want to. A 3, 4. Ask more questions if you want to. A 3, 4. Ask more questions if you want to. A 3, 4. Ask more questions if you want to. You want to. Ask more questions if you want to. A 3, 4. Ask more questions if you want to. A 3, 4. Ask more questions if you want to. A 3, 4. Ask more questions if you want to. You want to.
Digital race.
And that's the 4 questions, man. That is a work in progress. So I'm so glad to premiere that before it's even finished and online. Like I said, if you feeling what we got going on, hit us up because we have a lot on the way throughout this year. We're really, really looking forward to doing some incredible prayer services and ciphers as the year go on. And one of the favorite beats that I made for the fellowship is Daenu, which is really one of the most classic Passover jams. So since I have these incredible group of MCs here, we're going to go through and bust a little Passover cipher, and I'm going to play the instrumental for Daenu. I stretched the beat out to about 10 minutes, so I don't know how many bars y'all got prepared tonight, gentlemen, but the beat will not cut off on anybody. It's going to roll, and feel free if the spirit moves you to just hop into the cipher. The rap cipher, for those who aren't aware, is a group of MCs, singers and rappers and dancers and artists who all bring their talents to, the circle of, togetherness, and everybody kind of displays their talents in a friendly, community-based manner over a beat. And we have this Daenu beat tonight. We're working on a Daenu song, which is going to come out soon. So I'm really, really excited to just play this instrumental and get everybody kind of warmed up to what we have coming in the next couple months. So I'm going to kick off the beat right here. Here's the Daenu beat. And then as the spirit moves you, gentlemen, feel free to jump in and start rapping.
Daenu, bring that pain through from my spirit to my angels. Hitting God from all angles. And you know that I bring the range through. from top to bottom. You know that I got 'em. I ain't in Florida like crates, but you know that I spot 'em. Shout out Spotter, got 'em. You know that I'm flexing on this microphone during the holiday. Yeah, you know we talk about oppression and talk about the lessons. Talk about the next kin and talk about the reverence. Well, not really, but we talk about the Rabbis. And you know that we bring in the heavy. Yeah, so don't let me get deadly. Diana would have been enough, but I'm still here today. Still filled with grace. Still filled with gratitude. Still top ace. Hey, Diana would have been enough. Diana, God, I don't even have to bluff. I'ma pass it to the next MC. Diana, flex through the Red Sea.
Yeah, no man, it would have been enough, but it's alright cause we still tough. We made it out to the Red Sea, and you know it was deadly, but yo, we was trekking all the way through that desert. Hopefully, one day, we could eat some dessert. But make sure it ain't bread though, cause otherwise you ain't got no bread though. I'ma get this one time, even though I may not be Brett though. Yeah. We go in here for 8 days like it's nothing, eating hummus like it's nothing, it's like not eating matzah like it's nothing, it's like, and I just made some Passover rolls, and it was really good, cause that is how I roll. Yeah.
Well, if it's gonna be someone, it should be me, because I'm not the one MC who freestyles like Mr. E. But after I'm done, Mr. E will be history, cause he stepped to me and I said, ding dong, it's Matt and I'm bringing that ping pong. I pop to your head with the ping pong. You step to me, you could get wrong. Mr. E, you wanna play? Go ahead and step to me. Yesterday, you brought the tennis racket, so I had to smack it. The birdie, the tennis ball, the ping pong, you're all wrong. Bring what you got, you ratchet. I got the racket. Go ahead, put the bracket up, bet on me. NCAA 16. That's Mr. E's chick. That's juvenile. That's a problem. You might be out there and you'll need some solving. I'm sorry, didn't mean to go there. So let me pass it back anywhere but here. Go ahead and Mr. E, please go ahead and take the mic because I would like you to do something cool.
Die, Matthew, you will die if you just step to me on this beat right now. I'll slam you like in ping pong. Dianu. It would have been enough if you just shut your mouth, but you wanted to step to me. I slam you like in ping pong. Yes, I Dianu. It would. Yo, check it. Hey yo, it would have been enough at the first Seder. We back on the Zoom Jewish Federation for the Seder 2. I'm with the Jewish crew, like the 2 Live crew. I'm saying how you do. I'm chilling with just a few. We like karoset, we put it on the matzah. I like to tell jokes, I laugh, I go ha ha. Like Austin Powers, I'm Yo Faja. I'm talking to Matt Barr. Yes, I go, we some Jewish black stars like Talib, Kweli, Mostef, Holly, like Chala. Man, I make them holla. Yes, it would have been enough. Like Brett D, like some dogs we like to rough. We what? What? They don't know about that though. That's an inside joke. It would have been enough. We had to bring it overflow the wine. We feeling nice and fine. This show started at 9. We like to recline. That's how we do it at the Seder. Pass over. When we take the Cypher, Matt Barr, you get passed over. I'm joking. We shake hands. Both sides bleed blood. Yes, the red and blue. Yes, they combine to make purple. Yes, shout out to Purple. She had the prologue up in the Cypher. I'm a rhyme lifer. Dainu, yes, it would have been enough. I like that matzo balls, and I like to eat a lot of stuff up on my plate. Then I chill, I got the itis. Yeah, yo, you cannot fight this. Like ping pong, we sing songs. Like King Kongs, it would have been enough with Diddy Kong. But we's a real King Kong, like in Mario Kart.
There we go,
Yeah.
the Dainu Cypher. You know, in the quote and definition of Dainu, it would have been enough. To me, it's a very hip-hop phrase. You know, a lot of rappers, once they get to a certain level of success and fame, a lot of them reach back into the community. A lot of rappers, like, they'll sign other rappers, they'll work with other people from where they came from. And, you know, some motto of hip hop really truly is, it would have been enough. And then once you have that certain level, it's all about community service and giving back. And I think that's an interesting message to take with us throughout Passover, how important it really is to not just be a community, but give back to the community as well. We're a community of creatives, rappers and rabbis. We kind of put together one huge part Judaism, one huge part hip hop, and kind of blend it together. Like we mentioned a couple times tonight, we recently hosted a retreat. Definitely big shout out to everyone that's provided support for us these past couple years as we've been kind of moving through a really just tough time in the world. And nobody's effort in this community goes without notice. So I do want to shout out the other co-founders of Rappers and Rabbis, Text Rich Ali and Rabbi Adam Meir, who are not with us tonight, but are certainly with us in spirit. And also a huge shout out. It's almost too many of us to now name one by one, but just a huge shout out to every member of this fellowship that brings their individual talents and gifts to the Cypher. I want to end this service with something really special. Mr. E and our amazingly talented member, Spencer Froh, put together this great video paying homage to MTV Cribs. And we're just going to kind of show you a little tour, a behind-the-scenes tour of our recent retreat, which will kind of give you a glimpse into what we have going into the future. We are really a socially conscious group of creatives, thought leaders, religious educators, rappers, and MCs. And I'm so glad to be a part. I want to pass the rock over to Mr. E to kind of introduce this video before I play it. And we're going to play this MTV Cribs, and then we'll be out of here for the night and let everybody get back to their families and their rituals. But I just want to say how thankful I am that each of you were able to play a part in the service in the Cypher tonight. May everyone have an easy Passover. Enjoy the matzah. Enjoy the charoset. And let's all just kind of make a point to be more socially conscious and find ways of giving back to our community as we go through this next year. So, Mr. E, the rock is being passed to you, my friend.
I was going to say just a quick tidbit, to go off the riff of the Dayenu theme. It would have been enough to just have had a virtual program, all together and virtual retreat to meet. Or it may have just been enough to, maybe meet in a small apartment at one of our houses for maybe one night, maybe 12 hours, but the blessings overrun it. And we were able to have this amazing experience in a mansion in the Poconos. So just rolling off the Dayenu theme, it would have been enough, but we got this.
Yes.
And this video is a representation.
Yes.
All right, here we are with the debut, the world premiere of MTV Rappers and Rabbis
to
Cribs.
R&R Cribs. That's Rappers and Rabbis Cribs. I'm going to be your host for this afternoon tour of our retreat out here in the Poconos, Pennsylvania. Out here we got the beautiful creek, the water just flowing just like our rhymes and our raps. I'm your host, Mr. E, and we're going to take a little tour. Let's get it. Now, a lot has gone on the past 2 nights, so I don't know what I'm walking into. So we shall see together. We have the grandiose living room. We have the fellows, the educators, the rappers all here chilling. This is where we have our learning ceremonies. right here. We have the second annual Hip Hop Artist Retreat, Rappers and Rabbis, sponsored by the Jewish Federation of the Greater Metro West New Jersey and Moishe House. Shout out to Moishe House. Over here we got the kitchen. This shows a Shabbat dinner from last night. We were turning up. Looks like we had a lot of our guests engaging in chess. You know, we wake up in the morning having our breakfast, and before we work out the body, we work out the mind. The combinations of that physical workout and that mental workout. Chess. Look at this view. Like to just come out here, breathe it in, walk down by the stream, the water, and really just be one with nature and just appreciate our presence, our gift of being alive out here in the woods, in the forest. These are the words, learning the Holy Torah, right? Rappers and Rabbis, what we do, we learn a program, a script, we study the religious text, and then we remix it into our own creative expression through rap and hip hop. Cleaning up, we got the master sweep over here. And look at this bath. Woo! This is one of the features which I really enjoy. Self-care is super important, and just come in here, take a hot bath, jacuzzi, and this is one of my favorite things about this bathroom is we have the steam room, the shower steam room. Purify, detoxify. Let me take you guys downstairs. Down here, this is where iron sharpens iron. We got the pool table, we got the ping pong, we got recording. This is our at-home studio. In the booth, this is where all the fire has been created all weekend. You guys will be able to hear more of that in itself. And so we got the whole crew here. We got the engineer and producer. We got beat makers. We got rappers, MCs, artists, elevated human beings doing what we do here at the Rappers and Rabbi crew. This leads right back outside. You want to just really clear your mind. Great place for writing, a great place for ciphering, and maybe cooking up some marshmallows, telling stories around the campfire. You know, this is where it all began, right? Telling stories with one another around the campfire. So nighttime, we're gonna get that fire on. We got the hammock. This is why. Excuse me. Like to come. Ooh.
Womp.
Womp. Like come.
Womp.
Womp.
How did this become Jackass 3?
This became Jackass 3. Wow, now I really need to rest.
Actually, Svi warned us about.
Ooh, this is
how
enter at your own risk.
How close the hammock is to the raging river.
You could fall. You may fall and roll all the way down into that stream. So be careful. This is Rappers and Rabbis Rendezvous Retreat. It's been a pleasure to be your host, Mr. E. Right now, we better go back in the house and we're gonna get a game of basketball going. And I can't wait. See y'all later. Oh, by the way, y'all don't want to see, they were trying to test me last night in the pool and the ping pong, so I had to...
Only person in this house that can beat me is this man.
You heard that?
You heard that.
Just test to that. And you don't want to see me in ping pong.
Yeah, and the music featured in the background there is a song that we also worked on during the retreat. I'm really excited for y'all to hear more of the music. Mr. E, we want to bring you back I don't know, maybe next weekend or the weekend after, and we're going to debut your new single that you've been working on. I'd like you talk about what you have coming up in the next month. I don't want to give it away right now, but just know we have a special program coming soon, powered by Mr. E, who's about to go on an epic life journey. We salute you. I want to thank everybody again for being here tonight. Internal Rhyme has new music online now. Make sure to go search Internal Rhyme online. Brett D has also just dropped some brand new music, so make sure to look up Brett D. I go by Digital Crates. I have a brand new single called Overload that's online now. One of my favorite songs that I've ever written and produced. Please go check us all out. And a really, really, really big thank you to Matty Bars, man, for helping to put together tonight's Passover program. Mr. Bible Raps himself, thank you so much. This wouldn't be possible without your musical contributions and your spiritual leadership. So I definitely want to thank everybody for being here tonight. And then thank you to everyone that was tuned in. If you missed it, or if you're watching it and you want some of your other friends and family to check this out, it will live on our YouTube page. You can go to Rappers and Rabbis on YouTube and watch all our services and online programs. We will be back early in the week. I don't know if it'll be Monday or Tuesday and Wednesday, but we're going to be back early next week live doing a family-friendly Seder service this week. We're going to play a couple more of our Passover-themed songs and do one more Seder before the week is out. So, again, for Rappers and Rabbis, I go by Digital Crates, and I just want to say peace, shalom to everybody, l'chaim,
L'chaim.
a beautiful and meaningful Passover. Amen.
Yes, sir.